meeting. Today is May the 18th, 2021. And I'm calling the meeting to order at 8:35 and would like everyone to stand as we do the Pledge of Allegiance. And
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And I'd also like to indicate that proper notice has been given as required under our Ohio Revised Code 121.22. We're going to follow the agenda and because we have a busy morning. And first on our agenda is approving any ballot remakes. So, Sherry?
Yes, just right before we get to that, we do have in your packet a revised summary staff recommendation on the provisional report from the May 4th election. As we opened the envelopes, there were two ballots that were previously accepted that we have to move to rejected because they were actually cast in the wrong precinct, wrong location. And it was discovered during the opening process. So I just simply moved two from the accepted category to two to the rejected. Our rejected number is now 28.
Okay.
So I think we do need a board vote to accept the revised recommendation.
I'll make a motion to accept the revised provisional report.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Thank you for that clarification. So Chris is going to do ballot remakes. Okay.
Yes, good morning. We just have a few. The first 7, P1 through P7, were damaged ballots. It's when we take the provisional stickers off that sometimes they don't come off the best, so we have to remake those ballots to allow them to scan.
I'll move approval of ballots P1 through P7 as remade.
Second.
Had you completed what you were saying?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Sorry, I just, yeah.
Okay, I thought she was still in the middle of a sentence.
Did I interrupt?
No,
Oh,
you're fine.
okay, sorry.
Okay. Any more comments, thoughts? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
Thank you. The last one is ballot P8. It was we had to remake that because it was a wrong precinct but right location. So we just remade that with those contests.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that we approve ballot P8 as remade.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries.
We have.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Next on our agenda is a hearing, protest by Matthew Garrissey, candidacy for council at large in City of Norwood. Sherry, can you give us an update on the hearing?
Yes, we received the protest that was filed by Ms. Vicki Gary on May 4th. We then received an addendum to that protest on May 12th. That protest document has been previously circulated to the board through email. Yesterday, we received a letter from the subject of the protest. He did indicate that he's unable to appear at the hearing. He is in nursing school and has clinicals today, so he could not miss that, but he did send a letter to the board addressing the issues outlined in the protest. You also have a packet of information which includes a memorandum from Dave Stevenson, the board's legal counsel, as well as the relevant chapters from the Secretary of State's Election Officials Manual, and also Mr. Geraci's voting history in Hamilton County. And then another packet that's clipped together, several letters that we received just from residents of Norwood regarding this protest. And I believe Ms. Gary is here this morning.
And Ms. Gary is representing Mr. Garrison?
Ms. Gary actually filed the protest.
Protest.
Okay. Okay. Ms. Garrett, could you step to the podium, please? And we need her to be sworn in.
Yes.
Thank you.
I just wanted to just give just a brief statement, if that's okay. As I said in my May 12th supplement, indicated that Ohio Revised Code 3501.38 I2A provides that a declaration of candidacy and nomination, and I'm basically paraphrasing it, and you can read it yourself, but it basically says, a declaration of candidacy and nominating petition may not be withdrawn after filing at Board of Election unless there is a statutory exception that allows for withdrawal. The facts are that Mr. Dracy filed the partisan declaration of candidacy. That was February 3rd, and then he withdrew it the very next day, February 4th, prior to the primary filing deadline. Mr. Dracy did not refile a declaration of candidacy and petitions prior to the primary filing deadline. Thereafter, Mr. Dracy filed independent petitions for general election. There are no exceptions that allow for a withdrawal of petition filed for the primary election and the refiling of independent candidate petitions for the general election. Those are two distinct elections. You have the primary election, which is one election, and the general election. And under the Brinda case, those are two separate elections. What exceptions allow for withdrawal of a partisan petition so that a candidate may be on the ballot? If Mr. Dracy had withdrawn prior to the primary election and then refiled before the filing deadline, he would have been fine. He would have been able to be on the ballot, but he did not do so. That's provided in 3513.052 and the Coble decision. He could have also filed as a write-in candidate for the general election, and this is very important, so long as no nominating petitions have been filed for the same election. That's under 3513.041. So the legal conclusion is because Mr. Dracy did not withdraw his defective Republican petitions, he cannot run as a Republican candidate and an independent candidate simultaneously. Those petitions that he filed for the primary are still there. They're defective, but they're not withdrawn. So he cannot then run. He's precluded from running as an independent in the general election, and he's also precluded at this point from running as a write-in candidate in the general election because he filed in for the general election as a purported independent. At this point, I think that there's no need to get into the issue of him being an independent, whether or not he became unaffiliated. There's no evidence whatsoever that he did that, became unaffiliated. If you decide you're not going to follow the law that provides that he can't file as an independent, if you're going to look at that, there's nothing to indicate that he's independent. What's he doing? He's trying to get another bite at the apple. He messed up his petitions, and that happens. What usually happens is candidates give themselves enough time to go out, get new petitions, and get them filed again and do it correctly. He waited until February 4th to withdraw at, I believe it was 12:41. He didn't have enough time to get enough signatures to refile as a Republican. So what does he do? All of a sudden, he finds independence. All of a sudden, this man who is an elected, he is now on Norwood City Council as an elected Republican, has done nothing to renounce that. But he's an independent. Why? Because he wants his name on the ballot. Why? Because it's easier to get elected when your name is on the ballot. And the revised code doesn't provide for people to become independent after they have filed their partisan petitions. There's nothing that allows for that. So, unfortunately for Mr. Geraci, he cannot even run as a write-in candidate at this time, and will have to sit out for 2 years, because that's what the law provides, and it's up to you to make sure that our laws are followed. People want election integrity, and this is the opportunity for the board to show, yes, we do have laws. We have laws that candidates must must follow, and if they don't, they will not be able to be on the ballot. So with that, do any of you have any questions for me?
I just have one, and this is not meant to be adversarial at all, but you are an attorney licensed in Ohio, is that right? Yeah, thank you. I don't have any questions based on, I've read through your challenge and heard your presentation. I don't have any questions.
I don't have any either.
I don't have any questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else that cares to have comments? Yes.
Let's swear him in as well.
Oh,
Yes.
I do. Thank you very much for having me today and allowing me to speak, and especially on such short notice. Before I even begin, let me start by saying my name's Lonnie Elfenbein, and I'm a resident of Norwood. I'm not a lawyer. Watched a lot of LA law growing up, like Monk a lot today, but no, I'm not a lawyer. I can't comment as to the last comments as far as the May 12th amendment. I wasn't aware of those when I came today. I can't really offer a challenge to that, but I can say that in this case, because Mr. Geraci did present a valid excuse to not be here, I would hope you'd give him the opportunity to speak for himself. Having said that, I was one of the first, if not the first people to sign his petition as an independent candidate for Norwood City Council, for council at large. I did not sign his petition as a Republican. Let's take a look at the current political outlook of the November 21 ballot here. Right now, the president of council is running right now unopposed, Ken Miracle. He's a Republican, but in your records, he shows as an independent. The treasurer, James Bonzel, running as a Democrat, sitting right there, is registered in your records as an independent, and he's actually a precinct executive for the Democratic Party. Patrick Dowling, running for treasurer as an independent Republican, at large. Emily Franson, Democratic, she's Democrat. I can go on, but let's just say at the end of the day, out of 13 candidates running for office in Norwood, 8 of them, according to your records, are not affiliated with a political party. So, what does that mean? In Ms. Gary's protest of Mr. Geraci, she makes the following points. He ran for council as a Republican in 2019 election, and he pulled a Republican petition in 2021. For whatever reason, whether it was invalid, personal, whatever, he chose to withdraw that petition. That withdrawal, from what I understand, was accepted, and his name was not on the ballot. He did not try to obtain more signatures and get on the ballot. Also, I don't know if you guys pay attention or know politics, but Mr. Geraci is definitely divided from the Republican Party here in town. In fact, if the Republican Party really cared, they would probably be here as well, having a comment. Ms. Gary goes on to note that it's imperative in his note that he is no longer a member of the Republican Party. I concede it's accurate. He didn't withdraw, but he didn't need to, because according to your own records, he's not a Republican. How can you withdraw if he's not a member of the party? She goes on to assume why Mr. Geraci may or may not have submitted a petition to run as a Republican. However, it's a free country. He has the right to run as he wants, and especially with the way things are today in national politics, and given to the way things are in Norwood politics, he is more comfortable running as an independent candidate, so he ran and presented a valid petition as an independent candidate. She cites a number of cases, as well as the Ohio Secretary of State opinion. I'd like to thank her for doing that. It was a great copy and paste job from your election guide. Let's take a look at each of those cases. Morrison versus Colley. Mr. Morrison ran as an independent candidate for the U.S. House of Representatives. I can save the summary for you guys if you read the cases. I'd be happy to present my spin on it. For time, can I go ahead?
Well, basically, I had given you 7 minutes,
Okay.
and your time is running out, so.
So let's just say that all of these cases, the one thing in common is that they involve people who identified as partisan, and in this case, Mr. Geraci is not a partisan candidate, again, according to your Board of Election records. You know, let's go as to why. So why is Ms. Gary singling out one candidate versus the others? Well, Ms. Gary is on a PAC here in Norwood that supports political candidates, and she's also on the board. Okay, well then she's not a part of the PAC, but she is a member of the board of a special interest group that is actively supporting 2 of the candidates that are running for the at-large.
Ma'am, can you please, he did not interrupt you when you were speaking, and I think you'd owe him the same respect.
I'd like to
Thank
retain
you.
some more time.
Thank you.
for that.
Will I be able to then speak in saying things about me personally?
It's public record.
Madam Chair, I think since she bears the burden, it's not unusual to give her a rebuttal.
You will be, you'll have time, okay, since you're
Ms.
bearing the
Gary, I
burden.
think because you bear the burden on your challenge, I think it's appropriate that the board, if
I
the
have
chair
no
agrees,
objection
that
to
you get
her.
a rebuttal. It's just, that's standard procedure in any hearing where due process is a question, so.
But I would appreciate some more time because of that.
I would appreciate, though, that there are no interruptions to your presentation until that you finish your presentation.
Thank you, Mrs. Chair. Let's go on to a comment. Ms. Gary has been going after this candidate since I would say actually as of August 25th of 2020, after the Norwood City Council meeting, in this group that she claims she's not a part of. There's a conversation about the meeting. I'm not going to name names. One person says, well, that podcast is great. That shady, unprofessional ways of counsel regarding discussion. Ms. Gary says, vote them out. November 2021, we know who needs to go. I can keep on going on through the conversation, but I'll just fast forward to our next comment. I'm wondering if it's all a subplot of QAnon's, this is from Mrs. Gary, a subplot of QAnon's Pizzagate. Surely there's a sinister conspiracy going on here. And that's it. And you have all of this in the notes that were sent to you via email. At the end of the day, we're talking about an independent candidate for city council who's running for the party he's declared for. Very few people on city council in Norwood are actually in the party. In fact, if you look back, we actually have a candidate, a person sitting right now who was a Democrat, ran as a Republican, and then switched his affiliation in the middle. Now he's independent again while still serving on council. I guess at the end of the day, we're going down a slippery slope. Why are we going to look at one candidate versus all the other candidates? And really, why is one person and her opinion going to go over the rest of the opinions of the rest of Norwood? For her to come in and say that he's trying to hoodwink us really insults the voters in Norwood. You sit right here, you see how we are. We're a growing city and we're coming back strong. To sit here and don't think that we have 6 months to identify what party a candidate runs for and make a valid decision on how we should vote is an insult to every one of us here in this city. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Anyone else?
You want to give Ms. Gary a rebuttal?
Rebuttal.
Thank you. In rebuttal, I am not part of any group or PAC that is doing anything. That just kind of surprised me. As far as comments that I have made, I've made comments. I don't see how those are germane to the legal issue that is before you, which is whether or not Mr. Geraci should be on the ballot, and whether or not he should be even allowed to run as a write-in candidate. He did, Mr. Elfenbein wants to hammer home that about political party affiliation. Mr. Geraci has taken out petitions that say that he is a member of the Republican Party. That's what he did when he filed in February. That's what he did when he was elected. Keep in mind, this is an elected Republican sitting currently on Norwood City Council and had filed petitions to run in February. The only reason why he is now an independent is because his petitions were not accepted. There's nothing. You didn't hear anything from Mr. Elfenbein, or from anyone to indicate that he is truly an independent and that he has done anything to unaffiliate himself, and that it's done in good faith. And that's what's required. If someone does become independent, that it be because they no longer are affiliated with the party, and they do not, and because it is a good faith independence. So when people see in Norwood an independent candidate, the voters should not be hoodwinked into thinking, well, this is a true independent candidate, because it's not. What's happening, what would happen, is it's truly a Republican who couldn't get his act together, who now wants to pretend he's independent to make the voters think he's independent. Therefore, he's going to get independent voters as well as Republican voters to vote for him. The system shouldn't be used like that. If you start allowing that, what you're going to find are people at the last minute who are going to withdraw their petitions because somebody may be filing for the same position. They might not be able to they might not be able to beat in a primary, but in a general election, if it is a Democrat, Republican, and that person is an independent, they think they're going to be able to just kind of skate in there and get enough votes. Do you really want to start letting people use and abuse the title of being independent? It's supposed to be for people who do not have a political affiliation, a good faith one. Otherwise, you are letting politicians scam the public, and that's not what independent candidates are supposed to be about. Thank you.
Before she steps down, Ms. Gary, do you have any other exhibits other than the 2 letters you sent with your protest and the petition that was attached to the May 4th protest?
There is, would like to give the board just the summary that I had prepared, Mr. Stevenson.
I'm speaking about exhibits.
Oh,
A summary is an argument which
Okay.
I think you can give to them.
Sure. There is the, I think that's it. That should be it.
All right.
Thank you.
I think we probably ought to have these marked.
Madam Chair.
Mark
Mrs.
those.
Madam Chair, I have a couple questions for Mrs. Gary, please. You emphasized a number of times the reason for Mr. Geraci withdrawing his petitions.
Yes.
Sorry, Vicki, it's Chip over here talking to you. Sorry, without a mask. No, that's all right. No, that's right. All right. I know he's good to look at, but yeah. So, that's all right. You touched on the reason for him withdrawing his petitions a number of times, and emphasized that in your arguments. And you said they weren't accepted or they were messed up. I can't remember exactly the words that you used. Could you elaborate on that? And do you have
Yes.
additional evidence on that other than your opinion?
Well, the petitions themselves. Those are an exhibit, and they show that and they say that they are insufficient. They should on there. And that is why it says on here, excuse me, date of election primary. It says the petition number, number of filed part petitions, number of filed signatures 55, number of required signatures 50, and then it says number of valid signatures 48.
I understand.
Insufficient.
Right, I understand that, but that happens, that's not an unusual thing that happens here. So other than, I mean, we have petitions that are submitted here regularly that have an insufficient number of valid signatures. So I appreciate what you've provided to us, but other than that, I mean, I took it from your argument that there was something more than just the fact that he had insufficient signatures.
That is why he withdrew his petition
But that's not an invalid reason to do that, correct? You will concede that.
It's not a withdrawal. It is a withdrawal if you look at the definition
Well,
of
a withdrawal, I mean, that happens here regularly, correct? Yeah.
It may, but if, as long as he gets it back in, that's considered a withdrawal. If he gets it back, his petition back in by 4 o'clock, that's a withdrawal. But if you look at the definition of withdrawal, it says that you cannot withdraw unless there's an exception. An exception is when you get your petition back in by 4 o'clock that day, then you can run. If you don't, it's not a withdrawal. He has not withdrawn. He attempted to, that's why I called it a purported withdrawal. But there's a defective candidacy that was never put on the ballot that he filed. That's still there. There's nothing that says that he can then, with that defective candidacy, also run as an independent. You can't have a defective Republican candidacy and an independent at the same time. And that's why you can't, there's no exception in here, because I really do feel that if we were to look through the legislative history, there's probably something somewhere that says that the legislative authority, the General Assembly, didn't want people withdrawing, not putting them back in, and then trying to run as an independent. Because then you have candidates jockeying at the last minute, and it's not sincere. It's not real. And therefore, there's no provision that says you can withdraw and file as an independent, because it's not a withdrawal. If you look at the definition of a withdrawal, it says it's only for the same election. And that's why Brenda is very important, because that case is the one that said the primary election is one election, and the general election is a separate election. He has not filed petitions for the same election. If he had gotten it in by 4 o'clock, I wouldn't be here today. Even if it had been an independent one, I'm not sure if I would be here today. But the fact that he did not get it back in, I still don't think he would. It's all because of, gee, I messed up. I didn't get enough valid signatures. Now I want to claim that I'm independent.
Thank you.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I have a question for legal counsel. When a candidate withdraws their petition, it's like it's a moot point. Is that correct?
What they're actually doing is withdrawing their candidacy, and yes, it's a moot point.
Okay.
Mr. Mallory, don't to interrupt. I'm going to suggest perhaps we do this in executive session if we're going to get legal advice, but I don't know. I don't want to interrupt you, but
Okay.
I have questions myself of our counsel, but then frankly, the reason I asked respectfully of Ms. Gary whether she was an attorney, I think there's the prospect of possible litigation, but more importantly, this is a quasi-judicial proceeding where we will make a decision allowing us to go into executive session. So if
Correct.
there's something else here, I will be making a motion momentarily for us to go into executive session.
That was the next step that I was going to ask for as well, but go ahead and finish yours.
You answered my question.
Oh, okay. Because of the particular situation in the protest, I'd like to entertain a motion that we go into executive session.
I'll move that we go into executive session again, so the record's clear. I believe, especially according to the Chapter 2 of the Elections Administration Manual, we are acting in a quasi-judicial capacity. 12122 of the Ohio Revised Code gives us the opportunity to consult with our counsel in that capacity. So for that reason, I'll make a motion that we go into executive session.
Need a second?
Second.
Okay, we're now going into executive session.
We need a roll call.
Roll
Roll
call.
call, please. Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
just so the record's clear.
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
We have come out of executive session, and is there any more discussion?
At this point, Madam Chair, I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to move that we deny the protest in this matter, and the basis for that is, just to suggest here for the record that we have reviewed all the information provided to us, reviewed voter history for Mr. Geraci, heard the relevant facts and testimony from both witnesses, and most importantly, consulted in executive session with our legal counsel. And for that reason, I'll make a motion again that we deny the protest.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Thank you. Okay, next on our agenda is the certification of independent candidate petitions for the November 2nd, 2021 general election. Ms. Poland, please.
Yes, you have a list of those candidates in your packets. Again, it's entitled Hamilton County Independent Candidate List, unofficial at this point. It was last updated on 5/14/2021. Staff has reviewed these petitions and recommends the board certifies these candidates to the November 2nd, 2021 general election ballot.
And let's see. And again, this is the list that says unofficial in red, correct? And just so it's clear, Mr. Geraci's name is on that list. So with that, I'll make a motion that we certify the independent candidates to the November 2nd, 2021 general election ballot.
Okay,
Second.
Second, okay, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries regarding the certification of the independent candidates as listed.
Yes, there's one additional candidate that's on a separate list in your packet. This is Village of Green Hills Mayor Patricia Bender. The petitions filed by Ms. Bender, the staff found to be insufficient. In the circulator statement, the circulator did not list the number of signatures witnessed by the circulator. It's blank, as well as the fact that the nominating petition section is also blank. So for those reasons, staff recommends that the board rejects these part petitions. The candidate was notified, and these petitions were filed on May 3rd. The candidate could have withdrawn and recirculated new petitions, but chose not to do that.
Okay.
The candidate was notified.
That was my next question.
So
Was
do
the
we need a
candidate
motion to
notified?
reject, or do we just not certify her?
I believe you need a motion to reject.
That's fine.
I think we should, yeah.
All right, with that, then I'll make a motion that we reject the petitions of the non-party candidate who filed in the Village of Green Hills for mayor.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Thank you. Next, review of the November 2020 general election voting anomaly. Ms. Poland?
Yes, this was an anomaly that recently came to the board's attention, I'm sorry, the staff's attention. If you look in your file, there's an email to Chuck Eckert, our registration administrator, from the chief of staff in Hillsborough County Supervisor of Elections in Florida. The Hillsborough County Supervisor of Elections notified us that there is a voter registered to vote in Hamilton County. Per our records, this voter did cast a ballot in the November 2020 election. The same voter is also registered to vote in Florida and cast a ballot in Hillsborough County for the same election using a mail-to address of the Hamilton County residents. So we have in your packet the information that was sent to us by Hillsborough County, which is basically, it looks like perhaps their version of an absentee identification envelope. But note that the signature is redacted, so we could not compare the signature on the envelope that was cast in Florida with the signature on file with us. Mr. Eckert did ask the Hillsborough County to supply that, and they indicated per Florida law, they could not release that to us, that the signature was not a public record in Florida. But we did also attach the documentation that, from our county, from Hamilton County, that shows the voter appeared at her polling place in Hamilton County on November 3rd, signed in on the e-poll book and cast a ballot.
So it looks like the voter was here. Well, our records show it was an in-person ballot cast on election day, right?
That's correct. It appears Florida's records show that she voted by mail.
Yep, that's,
Yeah, in Florida, using the Hamilton County address as a mail-to address.
So the fact that we cannot redact her signature, to me, if she's already voted, she's voted in two places.
could it be I know it's the same middle name and everything, just in the abundant, could it be a junior? Could it be a daughter?
We
Kelly's
did-
a male name, sometimes it could be a junior, I don't.
We did look to see if, there's only 2 people registered
Okay.
to that address. There's not 2 people named with the first name of Kelly, registered at that particular address in Hamilton County. We did look to see perhaps father, son, mother, daughter, but
And the Kelly is just as we are reviewing it as a Kelly. There's nothing different between the way that person's name is identified versus the way she's identified in Florida.
Correct. It looks like according to Florida's records as well as ours, it's the same first name, same middle name, and same last name, all spelled the
Birth date
same
of
way.
birth?
Their same birth date.
And then Chuck, not to put you on the spot, you called and spoke with people in Hillsborough County about it?
Yes, sir, they
Yeah.
contacted me,
Yeah.
and I spoke to them.
Podium that live streaming can't hear.
Oh,
if He's
sure.
not at the microphone.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, I spoke with her by telephone, and then, the email followed up.
Okay.
So has anyone spoken with this particular individual?
We have not. We have not yet. We wanted to see what the pleasure of the board was.
Do we know in Hillsborough County whether they're taking any sort of look at potential criminal activity?
She did not indicate that, either way.
I believe in their email, she states that since it appears the second vote occurred in your county, I am sending this information to you for further action as you may deem appropriate.
Got it?
I see that, yes.
I don't have the pleasure of us, the board, I'm prepared just to refer it directly to the prosecutor's office, again, for further investigation. That, to me, and there's at a minimum probable cause, but that'll be their determination. But it seems to me there's not much more we can do other than what we've done. And I would, so with that, I'll make a motion that we refer this matter to the county prosecutor's office for further investigation.
Second.
So would it be the county prosecutor then that would contact her versus we contacting her?
I guess the first step would be to issue a grand jury subpoena for the original signature.
That's exactly what I was thinking, actually.
And then they can compare it, and if it appears to be the same, they can proceed further. If it appears to be entirely different, that's a different issue.
Right.
Okay. So we have a motion that's been made, it's been seconded. Any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Okay. Next on our agenda is the 2022 proposed budget discussion and request for approval. Yes, Ms. Colley.
Yes, you have a copy of a summary of the proposed 2022 budget. Again, this is due, I think, in early June to county administration, and then that sort of begins the process of finalizing the budget with the county commissioners. So this is the first step, is the board approving the proposed budget, and then staff will work with county administration.
Okay.
Sherry, what's in the $3 million other expenditures line item? Just curious.
It's basically just, do you see everything listed in green? It's the total
Oh, that's
of
the
that,
total.
yeah.
Oh, I got it.
There's divided in, the
Oh, I
budget's
see it
divided
now.
into two sections: personnel, payroll and benefits, and then other
I
expenditures.
see now, I see, yeah, the 5 million is the personnel part, and then the 3 is the, got it. Thank you for that.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
And based on the research that you and Sally have completed, this seems to be one that's adequate and we'd be able to move forward and operate operate correctly and appropriately in appropriation of those funds?
Yes, we met with our fiscal officer and went through all the expenditures by line item.
Okay.
Mhm. Yes, we did.
Any other discussion?
I move to approve 2022 proposed budget.
Do we have a
Second.
second? Okay, any more discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Approval of the 2020 proposed budget.
2022.
2022, sorry. 2022 proposed budget. Okay, that motion carries. So next we have certification of the May 4th, 2021 primary special election official results. Ms.
Yes,
Colley.
staff was running the official count as you were hearing the protest, and a copy of those results are in your packets now, should be at your place. No changes, obviously, to the outcome of the election, no need for any recounts, and staff recommends certification.
Very good.
And I would just like to add, the staff did a phenomenal job on May the 4th, making sure the process was complete, fair, open, and transparent. Got the documents and the data in a timely manner, and I want to commend the staff for the great job that you all continue to do. Very professionally done, and I need a motion to accept this report.
I move approval of the May 4th, 2021 primary special election official results.
I'll second the motion.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. They are certified, officially certified, the election. Any other business?
We do need to determine a date for the June meeting. It was originally scheduled on June 8th, but the Secretary of State's conference is on that date. Do you want to do later in that week? Maybe the
What date would be later in that week?
10th or the 11th?
I prefer that week, yes.
Yeah,
later in that week.
I'm gone, but I come back. Yeah, we're going to the same place, are we not? So the 11th in the morning works great for me, if that works for everyone else.
June the 11th?
I'm good.
Okay. So
At
I-
8:30 a.m.?
Yes.
8:30 a.m. is good.
Mhm. And I also, before we adjourn, we have our representative from the Secretary of State's office, Mr. Kenny here. Is there any message you want to bring to us from the Secretary of State?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Just also wanted to thank the board. I'm Kenny Henry with Secretary's Office. I don't remember to do that for the record. Just thank the board and the staff for the great job they did at the election and the certification process. And that's all I have. We look forward to seeing everyone at summer conference, and the REO courses are
Yes, and we do have the new deputy director signed up to take those because so many of our administrators have already taken them. We're opening up sort of staff, so we'll have a total of 11 employees beginning the REO certification process.
And yeah, finally, just congratulations to Alex on his appointment. I spoke with him, and he seems very excited to team and get things started. So
Good news. Thank you. Thank you. Need to entertain a motion to adjourn?
Well, I mean,
Did you want to,
before we do that, I just wanted to wish our director a happy birthday. And all of you, look around.
Look
This is a milestone birthday for Sherry.
Yes, look at Sherry.
You're, as I understand it, the office is festooned in things in the numbers of 50, so that's good. And, yeah. So I've had a good time giving our director some grief because I'm not yet 50. And,
He had to rub that
Not
in,
long,
didn't he?
not long.
but she's getting a little forgetful, so I'll remind her that she's 50. But anyway, we want to just wish you a very happy birthday, Sherry, on behalf of everyone here, and want to invite everyone in to have special cupcakes in our meeting room on your behalf, so I hope you'll join us. Sally, what have I missed? And, you know, by the way, well, there was a text message suggesting that I would entertain with my poor singing voice. But Sally, and Sherry, you ought to know, Sally went to great effort here and organized all of this. And Sally, thank you for that. And I know you're not gone yet, but just want to thank you for continuing to build the team here and be part of it. And just have really enjoyed working with you too. So happy birthday. Let's go have some
Happy
cupcakes.
birthday.
Thank you.
And is it true, Alex? Is it true what I heard, Alex?
Oh, gosh.
Is it
thank you.
true what I heard when someone suggested that you sing, that someone close to you said, please keep your day job?
Correct. I've heard that often. You know, and Kenny, I apologize. I'm going to recognize Kenny Hennings for a proclamation. Kenny, I'm sorry about that.
So from the Secretary of State, Frank LaRose, he did send a proclamation celebrating your 50th birthday. So on behalf of the Secretary, I'm presenting it to you. Happy birthday.
Wow, thank you, Kenny. Thank you very much. Proclamation for getting old.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Can someone bring Sally back in, please? I don't know where she went. She's always trying to get everything ready to go for everybody.
And I just wanted to say it's the OTP team.
Oh,
And I'd like to also to shift the spotlight for a minute. Sally Crystal has, this is her last meeting with all of us together as a team and as a family. She has persevered and survived numerous elections and over the year, 22 years, am I correct? 22 years uninterrupted. I think that's very important to say. And we are truly going to miss her creativity, as you can see, the way that she really thinks out of the box and the way she works together as a team. She's always done that. And she's brought that spirit from Omaha all the way here, and her spirit continues and will continue to persevere. And just, this is your last meeting. It was a very exciting meeting, so we kind of go out with an exciting meeting.
we just need your picture on the other side of this.
I know.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'm going to take my mask off for this. I think it's deserving. Sally, I've served with you since 2006. It's been quite an experience for both of us all those years. You showed nothing but grace and professionalism, and in my opinion, you epitomize what makes this place special, not only here in Hamilton County, but anywhere I've ever worked. I mean, the camaraderie that you all show is amazing, and I believe that it starts at the top. And you and Sherry exemplify that. The people that work here follow that lead. They bring it themselves, certainly, but they follow your lead. And it's been a pleasure for me to get to know you and to work with you these years. And I wish you luck in your next adventure. Thank you.
I'm going to say a few words. So Sally, actually, she started 1 year before I started here. So she started in 99, I started in 2000. But I retired 2 years before she did. So I want to figure that out. And she's a little bit older than me, but I've enjoyed working with Sally, and we've had some tough times here at times, and then we had some great times, but she's always tried to pull everyone together as a team, and as a strong Democratic lead here, make those tough decisions that people, may not always be happy with, but, good decisions for the best interest of the voters of Hamilton County and for this place. And this is a great place because of the staff that we have here. And I would say that Hamilton County leads the state as far as election administration goes, because there's great qualified staff here. And as Chip said, it starts at the top, it's leadership. And thank you for your leadership, and more importantly, thank you for your friendship.
Thank you.
Sally, thank you for everything, appreciate it. And one thing I'll say to you is that I think one of the few times I've seen you outside of the office was on an airplane. Do you remember that? I hope to see you often more on airplanes. How's that? While you're traveling and enjoying whatever you're going to do in your next act. So, yeah, wish you all the best. Thank you.
I think you'll probably see her in the air and on the campgrounds as well. Thank you. Thank you.
I'll move to adjourn. I'll move to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Nay? Anyone abstaining? That motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.